fermentation. I can still get high. I can play the guitar.
Okay, so today we're doing another fun activity. We are going to make hard lemonade, me and Kelsey. And we're gonna do this based off of a recipe that sjporr sent
Thank you,
us.
sjporr, for sending us something other than beer.
There you go. She's gonna like this because she doesn't like beer. She's not a beer fan, but she likes this kind of stuff. So this is what we're doing. He sent me his recipe for his lemonade. There's a video on his channel of him making this stuff, so you can go back and watch that. We're not mimicking him. We are loosely gonna follow his directions, but we're gonna change it up a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. So the first step we're gonna do is show you the ingredients. So we have, to make it a malt beverage here, we need some malt, obviously. So we have 2 pounds of dry light malt extract we're gonna use. We're gonna use 4 pounds of corn sugar and 2 pounds of honey. This happens to be clover honey, but you can use whatever you want. And then we're going to use a combination here. We're going to use the same proportions that SJ uses. We're going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of pectic enzyme. That's going to break down the fruits that we're going to put in here and extract tannins and things like that. 5 teaspoons of yeast nutrient, because this is, where's the yeast nutrient? Right here. This is not exactly an ideal environment. We're going to add like a bunch of fruit and stuff, so the yeast might need a little help getting started. Also yeast energizer for the same reason, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast energizer. And then later on in the process we're going to add some potassium sorbate, which is what you use in wine, just to stop the yeast from fermenting and kill them off, basically, so we don't have any more fermentation. So, and then we're going to use, for our yeast, we're going to use 2 packets of the Red Star champagne yeast, which I have in the fridge, right next to the Crunch Bars. Yeah, Red Star champagne yeast. Might as well pull those out and start rehydrating those. And so that's the base, I guess, ingredients. And then to make it a lemonade, we're going to add 8 cans frozen lemonade, which is the Minute Maid. If you want to get that out, show them. Yeah, this is just the Minute Maid brand frozen lemonade you can get at the store. And then pull out a bag of the strawberries. We got some strawberries that I've cut up and froze here. Frozen strawberries.
Notice the plethora of choices of food in our freezer here.
So yeah, so SJ, I think I've been, well, I don't know, we'll test that in a second. SJ has used 2 pounds of fruit in his. We're going to use 3 pounds. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to add 1 pound during secondary at the end of the strawberries to give it kind of some flavor at the end. We'll see if that works. I don't know. This is part of the experiment. So first thing we're going to do is go fill up this thing with about 1.5 gallons of water and get it heated up to about 175 degrees. And then we'll come back and we'll start mixing in all our sugars. Okay, so Kelsey's filling up the pitcher here. We're going to fill up 1.5 gallons of tap water, and then we're going to pour it into our pot and heat that up to 175. So, you got it?
It's heavier than I thought it was.
So there's 1 gallon. We're going to fill this up with another 0.5 gallon and start heating it up. While we're waiting for that to heat up, I was just going to go through this one more time. So we have, right here I have actually 2 1/3 pounds of honey, but we only need 2. So 2 pounds of honey, 2 pounds of Muntons Light dried malt extract. You can also use liquid malt extract. You just need to use a little bit more, 75% less for dry malt extract. And corn sugar, 4 pounds of dextrose. So we're going to add that, as well as 2 pounds, got them pre-packaged here, 2 pounds of frozen strawberries to give us the strawberry limeade part, or lemonade part. Now I cut these, as you can see, I cut the stems off, the leaves or whatever, and then the tops, okay, and wash them, and then cut these, each strawberry in half so we could get the good juices out of the inside of these guys. So that's what we're going to add as soon as this water, oh, excuse me, So yeah, once the water heats up, that's what we're gonna add. We're gonna let that sit for about 20 minutes. All right, and this is an update in the middle of the video of the root beer that I made the other day. For those of you that watched that video, just give you a quick update. It is in my kegerator, forced carbing. It's the only thing I have right now. We're gonna add this limeade hopefully, and that Cooper's kit that we brewed a couple days ago. But I have the pressure set almost 40 psi. It's like 38 psi. So we have it sitting there, and what I'm gonna do is, I don't know if you guys know much about having a balanced system, you know, not being able to set your pressure to whatever pressure you want to carbonate at, and then leaving it there, and you can pour from it, and you don't have foam or anything like that. It's called having a balanced system. Well, in order to keep a root beer carbonated and pour it from a tap without foaming, excessive foaming, on my setup in particular, you need approximately like 12 feet of tubing, okay? Some other, it depends on how thick your tubing is and all that kind of stuff, but some other systems you need like 30 to 40 feet. It's ridiculous. So for now, I'm not gonna put it on one of these taps because these taps only have 5 foot of tubing connected to them, and I don't feel like altering that just for root beer. So, you know, if I connected it to one of these and tried to shoot it out at 35 psi, it would just come out as nothing but foam. Let me get the dogs while I'm talking. And here you go, doggies. Anyway, so what I did is I rigged up a hand pump system. And I'll show you real quick. We're still waiting on this water to heat, so I thought I would talk about this. So I've got one of these hand pumps, you know, like you use it like a kegger party, basically. Got a quick disconnect. And I have 12 feet of 3/16 inch inner diameter tubing here. So I'm just gonna use the hand pump for the root beer. This way, you know, it's not foamy, and I don't have to use one of the things on the kegerator, or I don't have to alter it. This is what I'm doing temporarily. This is my temporary fix, because using the hand pump on that nice kegerator is kind of ghetto. So I want to be able to use, you know, take root beer right off one of these taps. So what I did is I ordered off of McMaster Car, the website, yesterday. They have these, they call them, what are they called? I don't know, I'll put a link in the bottom. But they're like a dip tube kind of thing, a piece of plastic that you stick into your keg, down into the dip tube. It goes inside the liquid out tube. And what they essentially do is it causes the liquid coming out kind of warps around this tube, and it simulates a longer path, essentially. So the liquid is actually traveling a longer distance, even though it's still physically the same distance. You know, it's still going through that tube. It's only going from the bottom of the keg to the top. It has to go around or whatever, and so it seems like it's a longer path. And what that's doing is simulating a long vinyl tube, you know, simulating 12 feet of tubing. So you can have your normal 3 or 4 feet of tubing, put one of these little things in your keg, and it'll come out. You can run 30 psi and not have foam. In theory, that's supposed to work. I read it on Homebrew Talk forums. A lot of people said they had success with it. So I ordered a pack of 12 of them. They're only like $1.25 each. So I ordered like 12 of them, and I will do a video updating on that. But that's the root beer update. It's been force carbing for a day. I tried it earlier. Came out tasting great. Tasted just like root beer, but it was flat still. So it hasn't carbonated, but it tastes great. So anyways, I will do a separate video whenever that stuff's done. All right, cheers. All right, so we are at 175 right now. So if you want to get a view in here and just show them that it's just water. That's all it is in there. So we heat it up to 175. So now we turn off the heat. All right, now we're going to add all our sugar. So the first thing we're going to do is add 2 pounds of honey.
Aw, honey. Honey.
Make sure it gets nice and stirred in here. And you want to scrape the bottom of the pot because this honey goes straight to the bottom. We don't want it to scorch.
Look at that action.
Free smells over here.
Oh, it does smell really good. Too bad you can't smell this right now.
Okay, so we're going to squeeze all this honey out. This is clover honey in the bear.
Bear.
mix. Now I'm not too worried about getting every last drop out of this because this is actually more than 2 pounds. This is 2 1/3. That's all they had. So I'm not gonna really care about getting every last drop because the recipe only calls for 2. This recipe is a combination of sjporr's recipe, and then we kind of changed it up a little bit to make it our own. So there's the first one.
It does smell so good. It smells like delicious.
And the second bear.
Second bear. Same thing.
Same thing.
Making sure it doesn't burn on the bottom.
God, I just want to stick this in my mouth.
Okay, don't do that. That's
God,
not
honey
okay.
is awesome.
YouTube does not need to see that. That is not something they need to see.
Yeah, no. You can't tell me.
Definerty Wiener! He heard delicious and he came running.
You can't tell me you don't want to eat this honey straight out of here.
Not on camera.
Who cares?
It's like
All
a
right.
sticky mess.
So, get a little bit out of that one. Fill it up with some hot water. All right.
All
Okay.
right, good job done.
Honey, in.
Honey.
Gonna hold it.
Sure.
All right, so next we will add
Now you can see the nice color.
2 pounds of light dry malt extract. Now this happens to be muttons, but it doesn't really matter. The reason we're adding malt extract is to make us a malt beverage. We want some malt base in here. You could technically do this entirely with just sugar, corn sugar, or regular table sugar, but we want the legitimacy here. So here we go. Everyone's probably used this stuff before, so you know how sticky this stuff gets.
Yeah.
Pour that in nice and
Here, hand me it so it doesn't leak anywhere.
and I'm trying to get it off the bag, get the clumps. There you go, toss that.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you just bring that trash can over here? That's probably a good idea. Okay, that seems mixed. Got another one. Another pound bag here, the same stuff. Mix that in. Now what I'm gonna do now, because I can see some of this is still kind of clumpy in here, is what's happening is we're adding all this sugar, and the sugar is at room temperature. So we're actually cooling this down. It's probably well below 175 now. So I'm gonna crank this heat back on, if you could do that. Just for a little bit to make sure this stays in the temperature range of 170.
Yum! Now this smells really good with the honey and the whatever that is, sugar, dry malt extract, light malt extract.
Yes, do a good mix. We still got some clumps in here.
Stir, baby, stir.
It's foaming up pretty good. Not really sure why there's so much foam.
Because it's delicious.
Okay. Now 4 pounds of corn sugar.
Corn sugar.
Also, very sticky product. Not so much as the malt extract, but there we go. Now, like I said, you can use regular table sugar if you want. I just chose to use corn sugar because it's better with the yeast.
So let's say you're making this and you're getting lots and lots of clumps. What does that end up affecting it? How does that end up affecting it?
Well, you're not gonna want clumps. You're not gonna allow that. You're gonna heat it up and get rid of those clumps.
So clumps are a big no-no.
Pretty much, yeah. You want to break it down so it's easier for the yeast
To eat away
to eat away. Plus,
and
who
make
wants clumps?
alcohol.
I mean, clumps just sounds bad. Why would you
That
want
does
clumps?
sound good.
All right, so there's the 4 pounds of the corn sugar. All right.
In the trash.
As you can see, I've got some of this on the side of the pot here. flash it up a little bit, get all that off.
Look at that nice, pretty color. MySpace mirror shot. We have mirrors in our kitchen, which really freaks us out, but oh well.
Alright, this is seems good and mixed. Okay. And now we add 2 pounds of our frozen strawberries.
Yum.
Which are starting to thaw out a little bit, but they'll definitely thaw out once we put them in here. This is pre-measured 2 pounds. Woo! Smells so good. Be
Oh,
careful
baby,
when you do
whoa,
this,
yeah.
because obviously,
You don't want to burn yourself.
no,
Safety
it's
first.
not really that hot. It's just that you don't want to make a mess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want, oh, the second bag or no? Not yet.
Not yet. So this is the difference between what sjporr is doing and what we're doing. He adds all of his fruit up front like this. We're going to save some for later and add it in secondary. And see
Okay.
how that affects it. Alright, so now, boom. I'm going to do a quick, is this thing on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to heat this back up to 175 because obviously it's going to have gone down a little bit. So the goal is to get it back up to 175.
Get your blood out of that trash can right now. You know it smells delicious if Finn is running in here to try and eat everything.
So yeah,
Guilty.
You can see we're down to 138. So that went down a lot. Just as predicted. So I'm going to put the lid back on, crank this to high, get this to back to 175, and then once it's at 175, turn the heat off, put the lid on, and let it sit for 20 minutes, and that's kind of it cooking. We're going to let it cook for 20 minutes on no heat. Okay, so we're heated this back up to 175. If you want to get a look in here what it looks like. It is the mixture that we just made with all the strawberries.
Yum!
Alright, so it's at 175. So now we're going to heat off, lid on, set a timer for 20 minutes. So essentially, this should stay above 165 degrees for 20 minutes. So it's essentially kind of simmering and cooking this mixture for 20 minutes. So that's all we're doing now. While we're waiting for this, we've got some sanitizer, filling up a carboy with some star sand. And we're going to sanitize our carboy and our funnel, which is what we're going to need to put this in there. All right. Okay, so now Kelsey is going to go ahead and rehydrate the dry yeast that we have. She's going to do that. We're using the Red Star champagne yeast, so she's going to get some lukewarm to warm water here. Alright, just got a little bowl of warm water.
I got one already.
Oh, okay. She's already prepared. She knows what she's doing. Alright, sprinkling the yeast, the dry yeast into the warm water here. Both packets. So we're going to use both of those. And all we're doing here is just trying to get the yeast to basically wake up. Give them a little jump start. We're going to rehydrate them so we might have a better chance of having a strong fermentation off the get-go. So she's just going to kind of get those all wet and let those sit, and we're going to let that sit for the next 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll pitch that later. Cheers. Alright, so
Oh my
you can
god,
smell this.
it smells
Smells
so
delicious.
good.
Alright, so it's been 20 minutes with the heat off and the lid on. As you can see, come look at this, the color has darkened. So we know it's done something here. It is nice and mixed. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some cold water. Oops. So originally we added, what, 1.5 gallons? Is that right, Kelsey?
Yeah.
1.5 gallons. We want to total 5 gallons. This pot's not going to be able to fit it all, but we'll add it later. So I'm going to add probably however much I can get in here. 2 gallons maybe, 2 more gallons.
Probably.
We're trying to cool it down to around 75 degrees, and then we're going to add some of our frozen lemonade, and then we're going to pour all that into
Carboy.
And then pitch the yeast and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add this, and we'll be right back. I'll tell you how much I end up adding. Okay, so now we're going to add 5 cans. Kelsey's adding 5 cans of the frozen lemonade into the mix, and she's just going to give them a nice gentle stir. Is that mixing in there, does it feel like? Or do you feel clumps or what?
I guess not.
I mean, it's
still frozen,
yeah,
so it's
just
like
give it a little
softening.
bit. Yeah.
Oops, don't do that.
Okay, just go ahead and pour in the rest, and you can give it all a good stir. So she's going to add 5 cans. Be very gentle when you're pouring this in, because it's going to slip like that, like she's not doing, of course. Come on, Kelsey. Be gentle. We're not going anywhere. There's no rush here. So pour them in nice and slow. Mix them in 5 cans. What I forgot to mention before we got to this point, I added 2 gallons of cold tap water. So now we're at 3.5 total gallons of water, and that reduced the temperature to about 110 degrees. And now we're adding the lemonade. Here's the last one. And after this, okay, so after this, we're going to let it cool down to room temperature, and that's when we're going to add our enzymes. I'll show you that. We'll get to that. Pectic enzyme and our other stuff that we have here. What is it again? The yeast nutrient, all that stuff, and then we'll pitch the yeast. So we'll be right back. All right, so we realized obviously you can't get the strawberries to go through the funnel, so this is kind of annoying, but first part here is we're going to have to pick the strawberries up and put them in the carboy, or maybe not individually, but first, and then we'll siphon, or then we'll funnel all this other stuff in. Okay, so if you want to get a view down here, we just got done hand spooning these in. Didn't take that long, actually. How long? Like 5 minutes?
Probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Shorter than we thought it would take.
Spilled a couple of them, so I'm wiping off the outside of the carboy. Got a little sticky. The floor should be good, I think.
Yeah.
Did you wipe that up?
I did, and the dog ate the strawberries that we dropped, so
There you go.
reasons
So-
to have a dog.
Yeah. All right, there we go. We got our strawberries in there. So now, if you look, now we've got a clear thing that we can dump right through a funnel and get it
Yay.
into that carboy. So that's the next step.
Okay. Thank you, Finn.
We're back where we have our strawberries. We have our sanitized funnel. We have our mixture
Finn.
here. It's gonna be interesting. Very heavy. I shouldn't have filled it up this much. But we're gonna start pouring this into the carboy. Woo! All right. So basically, I'm gonna need Kelsey to help me hold this funnel so it doesn't shoot back up. So we're gonna cut the camera off, but you get the gist. I'm gonna pour all this into the carboy.
Okay.
Okay. Now you want to just add. Now that we've got this in here, just want to add enough water to top it off to 5 gallons. So in this case, I need to add 1.5 gallons. And then you should be, after adding all this cold water and stuff, you should be at a reasonable temperature to pitch your yeast. But before we do that, we're going to add the yeast nutrient, the yeast energizer, and the pectic enzyme, and then we will add the hydrated yeast. Okay, now, so I filled it up to the 5 gallon mark. Well, actually, it's a little higher than the 5 gallon mark because we have all the solids in there, but I filled it up with 5 gallons total of liquid. And now we're going to add the nutrients. So, first thing we're going to add is 3/4 of a teaspoon of pectic enzyme. So Kelsey's going to go ahead and do that. We're just going to add that directly into the mixture over there. Have it covered just to keep it sanitized. Alright. You gotta pour it.
Just do 2 more of these.
Okay. Okay, so that's the pectic enzyme. That's just to break down the tannins in the fruit and, or to extract the tannins from the fruit, essentially. All right, now we're going to go ahead and do yeast nutrient, 5 teaspoons. Will that fit in there? I doubt it. Okay, so you're going to have to pour that one. And our battery is about to die on our camera, but just do that over the sink, babe. Kind of messy. So she's going to do 5 of those, and then we're going to do 1.5 teaspoon of Energizer. So I'll spare you the boredom of that, but after that, we're going to shake that up, get those nice and mixed in there, and then we're going to add our yeast that we have hydrating, and then we're going to add a blow-off hose, and that'll be that. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, Finn, move.
Go lay down, baby.
Finn.
Finn.
Go. Alright, so now we've added all those enzymes and nutrients. Time to add our yeast that we had mixed, that Kelsey mixed up. And it's rehydrated here.
Yum.
Nice slurry looking thing, so we're just going to pour that in. This funnel is still sanitized. Okay. Right. That is it. We're going to give it a little bit of a shake here. I can't shake it too much because it'll go everywhere. But hopefully from pouring in the water and agitating it, we got some decent aeration in there. But we're just going to rock it here to mix it all. Alright, so that's it. That is making a lemonade, and you can use this recipe or you can switch it up and try your own thing like we did or whatever, but we'll keep you up to date on this and let you know. I'm going to attach this guy because this is pretty high up. This is going to blow everywhere probably. So I got a blow off hose that I'm going to attach, and as soon as it starts fermenting I will keep you guys up to date. But if you have any questions or anything, send me a message. Any comments, you know, comment in the section below. Kelsey, you have anything to say?
I'm excited to drink this.
She's
Delicious.
Ready. She's ready. This is going to come out to be the Beersmith predicted 1068. That's just with the malts and stuff. That's not including fruit. Fruit's going to add a little bit of more sugar. So at minimum, this is going to be a 7% alcohol drink. Probably closer to 8 or 9. So, and that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to measure the gravity. So I'm going to measure the gravity, the initial gravity of this, and I'll post that in the camera's about to die, so I'll post that in the comments or the below section, what the initial gravity of this is. So I'm gonna go sanitize a beer thief and do that real quick before we do this. But all right,
cheers.
Okay, so this is the final setup. I got it in the closet. Temperature regulated to around 73 degrees, 72 maybe. There it is. So I got the blow-off hose going into some water, and the measured the initial gravity, and it was 1.083. Is that what we said?
1083.
So, like I said, Beersmith predicted 1068 for just the sugars alone, so the fruit must have added a lot. So that's good news. 1083, so that's a minimum of like 8.5% alcohol. So it's going to be a nice drink for the summer. So I'm going to watch this closely. I know people have problems with getting these things started fermenting. Hopefully the ridiculous amount of yeast nutrient that we use and all that stuff will hopefully work, but I'm going to keep an eye on this the next couple days and make sure it gets started, and I'll keep you guys up to date. Alright, cheers. Okay, it's the next morning, and we have obvious fermentation. Here's our bubbles. Oh yeah, and here's our, if you can see that, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see stuff moving around in there. A little hard to see, but it's definitely fermenting. So this is the next morning, so we're off to a good start. So I'll keep you guys updated on this and let you know how this one comes out.